So here we are again, and this is today's photo, and it's of a large, well, thing. I can see a blue hand down here. Do you have any sort of, how would you describe this, Michael? Do you have any sort of great insights? How big do you think this thing is? What do you think it is?
Hmm. Yes, it's quite big, but
Yeah.
man or woman, someone
Mm,
hold this. It's look like a
mm,
uh, metal, but people can hold it
mm,
in his hand.
mm,
So I think it's not very. This object is
mm.
light and opposite.
So it is
Not
heavy.
heavyweight,
Oh,
not
not
heavy,
heavy.
not
Okay.
not heavy. So
Mm,
I think this object, this material has many
hmm.
little hole inside, like pore. Uh,
Okay, yeah.
but yeah, the man or woman hold the man or
Mm,
woman is holding this object in blue gloves, medical gloves.
yes, you're
It's
there
so
nearly.
it's so
So just to interrupt a little bit, so you said about air bubbles, and I can see a little, what looks like a little bubble there, maybe. Perhaps we see half a bubble, but it looks very yellow. So what's that? Is that a bubble, do you think, or something? And that sort of explains a little bit because you're saying inside it may be full of bubbles inside. So if it's lots of air bubbles inside it, it will be a lot lighter than it might otherwise be. So, but why is it yellow? What's that there anyway? Have any ideas? Where my cursor is?
uh, maybe it's we see we saw the name of this article, so it's maybe
Hmm.
it's some treasure metal
Okay.
like gold
Okay. What
or
what metal? Oh, gold. Ah, yes, that's possible, isn't it? Yes, because gold is yellow. So, but what metal do you think this is then? So that doesn't. Most of this doesn't look like gold to me. That little bit there, maybe. But so, what do you think it is? So you said he was holding it in his hands or her hands, perhaps.
I think it's not metal, it's like mineral or
Some
some
other.
some
Okay.
type of ore or minerals.
Hmm. Well, I don't know what it is either. Now, I've selected the article, but I've not read it. Just to interrupt you. So I would describe this as some, if I describe this photo, I would say, so I can see someone, a person, or perhaps other, is holding this object in both hands. As I see a hand down here and a hand holding it at the back. So it's roughly the length of an arm, the lower part of the arm, and width-wise maybe half the size of that. To me, I would say it looks like it's rusty, classic iron rust,
Mm.
with perhaps some strange, peculiar colours like the yellow bit there, which doesn't quite add up. But maybe if this has been underground, perhaps it was next to something that was yellow. I don't know. Um, but it is a very large piece of metal, and I think it's solid. I would guess it's solid, and so I think it's heavy. So if you look, so this hand, there is a hand here holding it up, and there is a hand down the bottom, but also he's only just got it on the table or some sort of surface here. So really, his hand is between the table and the mineral or the unknown object or the iron object, whatever it is. So I think it is heavy. So, but I do know the. So let's flick over to the article. Here we go. But I did notice, and I did read this out earlier actually, that it did say it was gold, or they thought it might be gold. And so that's why I pointed to the yellow dot there. So gold is obviously yellowy, isn't it? Sort of yellowy color like that. But if this was gold, oh, that would be that's $1 million or £1 million, I guess. I don't know. It's huge, isn't it? Okay, so let's. So this is on the website. I don't know what website this is on. Let's quick look at the. I'll just try and see what. Oh, it's on Science Alert, I guess. There must be a website called Science Alert. Oh, here we go. This is the website name. So sciencealert.com. You can see the website just right there. There we go. And the title is Man Keeps Rock for Years, Hoping It's Gold. It turns out to be way more valuable. So 28th of November, written by this lady here, ending surname Bowler. Okay. So we looked at the photo, and it says here they're calling it the Maryborough meteorite. And as we said before, a meteorite is a meteor that has hit the ground. Okay, so this is over to you now, Michael. Is it big enough for you to read? Oh, make it slightly bigger. There we go, it's a bit bigger. Over to you, Michael.
Okay. In 2015, David Hall was prospecting in Maryborough Regional Park near Melbourne, Australia. Armed with the metal detector, he discovered something out of the ordinary, a very heavy, reddish rock resting in some yellow clay. He took it home and tried everything to open it, sure that there was a gold nugget inside the rock. After all, Maryborough is in the goldfields. After all, Maryborough is in the goldfields region, where the Australian gold rush peaked in the where the Australian gold rush peaked in the 19th century. To break open his find, Hall tried a rock saw, an angle grinder, a drill, and even douched the thing in acid. However, not even sledgehammer could make a crack. That's because what he was trying so hard to open was no gold nugget. As he found out years later, it was a rare meteorite. The video
Yes,
below has
that's
its summary.
yes, a rare meteorite. Yes, meteorite. That's it. And really, I think looking at if we think about the size of it, I think this would be, I don't know, it could be hundreds of, perhaps, who knows? Maybe they'll go into the value. I think it'd be extremely valuable. Okay, so some interesting words there, but mainly the names, I think, are the tricky bits. So I think that actually is a name or a region in Australia, because one of the big things I found in Australia is gold. And I think it is simply because you can talk about going to the gold fields, perhaps as in the Yukon, I think there were gold fields, and Australia too. But in this case, I think it's actually the name of a region, as it says here, the Goldfields region. And it's got a capital G rather than a small g.
Mhm.
So I think we take that as the name of a particular region. Yeah, it was a good reading. Well done. Anything you want to particularly ask about that struck you?
Maryborough.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good, I would say. Yeah, I think you're doing the borough a little bit. Um, I think in a way you're right. That's exactly how we say borough, and I think that's how they pretty much would say it. But often when it's in a name, part of a name, like as in say Edinburgh or Scarborough, it doesn't quite borough. We just sort of shorten it very slightly. So I would say it's good enough what you're saying. Everyone would understand it, but I think most people would say Maryborough, 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 or Maryborough, Borough. They just rush the borough a little bit. It's not quite so clear. Does that make sense? So,
Maryborough.
yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. You have it there. That's spot on. It's a very small detail, really, I would say. Everyone would understand what you were saying. That's it, Maryborough. Um, but as I said in previous classes, the Americans tend to say borough slightly differently. They can say borough, and there's actually a place in America, and it's just those four letters there, borough. I forget quite what it exactly where it is. Okay, and so they would tend to say borough, but we say borough. Okay. Um, so as it says, I think when you said he discovered something. So I think you slightly overdid the V because you're trying to get the V spot on. You just slightly overdid it, I would say. But it was good enough. It was definitely good enough, I would say. But just to get it sort of even closer, so I would say those three words as he discovered something. He discovered something. Discovered. So do you want to just say those
Discovered.
three words again, or that middle word maybe? So he discovered something. You'll go.
He discovered something.
Yeah, that's even better. That's definitely better. Maybe once more. So he discovered something once more.
He discovered something out. He discovered
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that is really good. That is it. That's so much better. It was pretty good before, to be honest. You're well into the high 90% now, I would say. That's really good. That's very good. Impressive, in fact, I would say.
Mhm.
Maybe if I just reread that little bit there, because there was some sort of slightly tricky ideas there. I think you said little bits of it, you said a couple of times, just to correct yourself, I think. So if I just read it for you, this little bit. So he took it home and tried everything to open it. That made me laugh. So he found this rock and he's trying to open it, sure that there was a gold nugget inside the rock. After all, Maryborough is the goldfields region where the Australian gold rush peaked in the 19th century. Yeah, and I think that's exactly true, isn't it? So in different places at different times, there have been gold rushes. So someone's discovered gold in some area, and there's a big rush of people from perhaps all over the country, all over the world in some cases, to find their own, gold nuggets or gold veins, I suppose. So sometimes the first time people find gold in an area, they actually find a gold nugget. And that's often what people are looking out for, gold nuggets. It's so they are made of gold, but they're in a particular shape. So if we just quickly search that, have you heard of gold nuggets before?
Nuggets, no. About gold
But
nuggets.
gold nuggets. So this is a coin, an Australian coin, and they're calling them gold nuggets. But that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking more about this sort of thing here. So it's
Mm.
just a blob of gold in a rather strange shape sometimes. And they're saying that's 105 pounds in money. And we don't quite know how big it is, but it's actually half a gram pretty much in weight. 105 pounds per half a gram is incredible. So, yeah, so it's a little blob of gold, really, of a weird shape. Often they're weird shapes. But the thing about gold, of course, it tends to be quite yellow because it doesn't really react with anything very often as not. Most of the time, almost all the time, actually. So you just find it pretty much like that. And that's pretty much what you find. Maybe a bit of mud on it, a bit of dirt on it, but you rub it with your hand and it's pretty much exactly like that there in the photo. So those are gold nuggets, really small ones. Okay. Um, and obviously, as we sort of mentioned, so the Goldfields region was a place, I guess, where the gold rush was. That is gold rush in the 19th century. Do you know of any other gold rushes around the world? Have you heard of any other gold rushes,
Uh,
Michael, at all?
in America,
Hmm.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't remember where this place. It's maybe Alaska, in Alaska, maybe. Uh,
Yes.
uh, and
Mm.
yeah, Yukon. Uh, and
Yeah.
also, I
Yeah.
started, I started to watch movie. The name of this movie is Gold. Gold
Oh yeah.
with Matthew McConaughey in main role, main actor.
Ah, yes.
But I didn't finish it, and
Ah.
they also try to find the gold in Indonesia region. So it's maybe like New Zealand and in the
Mm. Hmm.
Indonesia region.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I heard might be something different, but I have heard of say in the Philippines. I think it was actually in the Philippines. But during the war, some gold was buried, and they were being followed by the enemy, and so they buried the gold, and they're looking where that gold is now, and because they think it wasn't found at the time, but there's not things aren't quite so sure. Yeah, so yeah. So I think so. This is actually right next to Alaska, the Yukon, isn't it? So when my cursor is, that's Alaska there in this map, and this is technically Canada, I think, isn't it? So it's probably right. I think it's right on the border. The gold was literally pretty much right on the border, wasn't it, at that time? So let's search 1849. Yeah, there we go. So tapped in the year. So this is 150 odd years ago, long 170 odd years ago. And the next phrase next to it is gold rush. So let's click on that one there. So this is the American gold rush, wasn't it? So I can see down here Wikipedia. It says Californian gold rush, 1848 to 1855. Um, Sometimes people talk about themselves as being not an 1849er, but they may say that they were a 49er. 49er. Is that right? I think they do. And it meant they were one of the people that went to the gold rush. Yeah, there we go. There. So if I just read that then. So the 1849 Canadian Californian gold rush was a period of mass migration to California after gold was discovered in 1848. So in other words, it took them about a year to get there, or for the news to spread and then for people to get there. So 1849, 1848 it was discovered, but it started to get there 1849. So drawing hundreds of thousands of people, known as actually like 49ers. So the people were called 49ers who were going for this rush, hoping to find their own sort of $1 million of gold or whatever, who came to seek their fortune. That's what I should have said. This influx led to massive population boom in California, particularly San Francisco, spurring economic growth through new businesses and resulted in California gaining statehood in 1850. Because in America, I think they only wanted states which had a certain amount of population living there. They didn't, so only when it got to a certain population were they able to apply for statehood, I think. Okay, so we lost our track there a little bit. So in the 19th century, there were a few gold rushes, Australia, San Francisco, the 49ers, as we just mentioned. There we go. Anyway, so to break open his find, Hole, this is a strange name, isn't it? Because he's digging holes to find gold or meteorites in this case. So Hole tried a rock saw, and so, being in the goldfields area, he's probably going to have access to a particular saw which is used to cut open rocks. Anyway, okay, so I don't have access to one of these rock saws, but something else he used was an angle grinder. So that's a special electric tool. It's this a blade spins around and it's just a very rough
Mhm.
material. So it's not actually a saw as such. It's just a very rough material, and it just runs on it very quickly, and it wears it away. Lots of sparks come off as you use it, and it can be quite dangerous if the angle grinder, the metal disc breaks. that splits off into thousands of pieces and can sort of hit you and can be quite dangerous. That's an angle grinder. So he used that, but he also used a drill. So he tried to drill into it, and he even doused the thing in acid. So that's doused. So when you douse something, you pour water on it, pour acid on it in this case, but it could normally people you douse something in water most of the time. But in this case, of course, it's acid. Okay. However, not even a sledgehammer could make a crack. That's because what he was trying so hard to open was no gold nugget. So he says he's trying to open a gold nugget. Yes, sometimes a gold nugget is encased in something else, sometimes, but not always. And sometimes you do have to sort of crack open the covering around the gold nugget. But it wouldn't normally be that hard. This is crazy hard. Okay. So there's even a video below. If there's time, we'll look at the video. As he found out years later, it was a rare meteorite. It was good. So the only words I really noticed that were tricky for you were doused, and maybe that sort
Doused.
of and that thing there. So an angle. I think you call it grinder. I think you call it grinder. So it's angle grinder. That one. Do you want to say that one too?
Sorry, grinder
Yeah,
or grinder.
I'm just saying what you said. So if sometimes I say what I hear how how I heard you pronounce it. So I think I'm writing down. I heard you say it as an angle grinder, but no,
Yeah,
we happen to say it slightly differently. So it's angle
yeah.
grinder, grinder. Do you want to say that?
Grinder,
That's it,
grinder.
grinder. Yeah,
An angle grinder,
that's it. An angle grinder, an angle grinder.
grinder,
Yeah, that's it.
grinder.
So we might also have a salt grinder. So
Yes,
you
coffee
cooked your dinner
grinder.
and you want to put a bit of salt on your dinner, or it could be pepper as well, couldn't it, in the evening? And you use a grinder to grind up the salt or grind up the pepper. So that's something a bit different, of course. So that's a salt
Yes,
grinder or pepper grinder. So obviously
and
the word comes
coffee
out.
and coffee grinder also.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to buy a coffee grinder at the moment, but okay. Um, Was there anything else? So maybe the word, I think it was the name of the area too, because talked about Maryborough.
Maryborough.
Yeah, you're better than me actually. You just did it better than me, I think. So, and maybe this town here too. This is quite an important city, really. So Melbourne, Australia. Do you want to try that one too? Sort of Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne, Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Melbourne. Yeah. So you're probably better than me. So I have heard people say Melbourne, and that's the way I said it. But Melbourne is probably you're probably better than me. Yes, Melbourne. Yeah. So it looks like born, and that's how you would. If you saw that word on its own, that's how you would say it. Born, born. But when it's in part of a name, as often is the case, it sort of gets slightly truncated and sort of slightly changed when it's in a name, doesn't it? So Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne. Well done. You're, well done for spotting that. I'd say that was it, really. Did we do discovered? Yeah, I think we did, didn't we? We did discovered. What else was it? And I think that was it, really. That's it. That's great. Let's scroll on then. Let's scroll on. Maybe we'll come back to that. It looks like a YouTube video on. It looks like the same rock, doesn't it? It must be on this rock, this particular one. Looks like the husband and wife down here, I guess. Or husband and husband. So Dermot Henry at Melbourne Museum, geologist Bill Birch with the Marlborough Meteorite Museum. Okay, so this is a short one here for you. Over to you then, once again.
It had this sculpted, dimpled look to it. Melbourne Melbourne Museum geologist Dermot Henry told the Sydney Morning Herald in 2019. That's formed when they come through the atmosphere. Atmosphere, they are melting on the outside, and the atmosphere sculpts them. Unable to open the rock, but still intrigued, Hall took the nugget to the Melbourne Museum for identification.
Yeah, that's it. That's good. That's good. So
Atmosphere.
neither of these are Mr. Hole, are they? I guess. Okay, that was good. So let me read that for you. Let me read it back to you again. So that was a good read, yeah, nothing to say really. So from the top there, so it had this sculpted, dimpled look to it. Melbourne Museum geologist Dermot Henry told the Sydney Morning Herald in 2019. That's formed when they come through the atmosphere. They are melting on the outside, and the atmosphere sculpts them. Yeah, I liked your sculpts. That was good, like that. Sculpts. Yeah. Unable to unable to open the rock, but still intrigued, Hole took the nugget to the Melbourne Museum for identification. Yeah, that was good.
Identification or identification.
Identification.
Identity
Identification.
or identification.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Intrigued. Intrigued.
yeah, that's it. Intrigued. That's it. Intrigued.
Intrigued.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Sort of a French feel about that word, probably
Yeah,
in
yeah,
its
yeah.
originality. Yeah, that's it. Originally.
We use this word in Ukrainian.
Ah, that's
In
great.
Ukraine. Yes, for French.
So they're still talking about it as a nugget, but they sort of, I think at this point they sort of felt that it probably wasn't because it was just too big, I think, and also they couldn't open it. But if that's a gold nugget, that is absolutely monumentally big. If that were a gold nugget,
Yeah.
or something inside it being a gold nugget, it would be absolutely huge. But I think what happens is what sometimes when you have a piece of metal, perhaps and it's exposed to a flow of water and other minerals around it, it gets a crust over it, almost like a protective shell. It sort of attracts other minerals to it, and so that's why you sometimes get a shell around it. But I think that happens much, much more with iron. Iron gets a shell around it, especially when it's in the seawater. Okay. And so maybe those, maybe that little bit in the middle. Read it again, maybe. So if I read it too, do you want to read it once more? Just to practice sort of the atmosphere words
Okay.
and maybe sculpt. So I'll read it
Atmosphere.
first if that's okay. So that's formed when they come through the atmosphere. They are melting on the outside, and the atmosphere sculpts them. So you'll go.
That's that's formed when they come through the atmosphere. They are melting on the outside, and the atmosphere sculpts them.
That's it. That's really good. That's good. Okay. So it's got sculpted here again, but I've highlighted this word next to sculpted. So what's that word there that I've highlighted? Well, do you know what it means? So I think you pronounce it quite well.
Um, Dimpled.
Hmm.
I know
Yeah.
it was it was the popular game, kids game, Simple
Oh,
Dimple.
I didn't know that. Okay. I didn't know that.
And when it was like, some toy with rubbish, and you uh, pick, uh, you create the hole with your finger
Ah,
in this
okay.
dimpled. I think
Right.
dimpled. It's like some make some hole to
Ah,
look inside this
okay.
nugget.
Yes. I think that's some that if I go back to that photo, where's that photo? Is that it there? That hole there, I would describe that as a dimple. That's a classic dimple because dimples tend to be quite round. And if I look up there, that looks like another one. It's not quite so easy to see. This one's obvious because it's so yellow in the middle. But I can see another one here, another one there, another one there. There's a bunch of them. Quite what they are, I don't know. No, I've never fired a handgun, But I imagine if you fired a handgun into a rock, it might make a dimple like that, or like a small hole, but only quite shallow, not very deep. So yeah, so that's it. And often they are quite rounded, or sometimes they can be quite rounded. Okay, so they're only in the area there. Oh, there's another dimple there in the distance. It's out of focus slightly there, isn't it? There. Okay, interesting. Okay, yeah, spot on. That's dimpled. That's what dimpled means. So sculpted and dimpled. Okay, let's scroll on then down here. So this is the next photo. Ah, they have cut it. They've cut the bottom open here, and there's no. Oh, there are little bubbly things in there. So maybe we'll get a better picture in a moment. So this is. Do you want to read this one too?
Yeah, yeah. I I've looked at a lot of rocks that people think are meteorites. Henry told Channel 10. Henry told Channel 10 News. In fact, after 37 years of working at the museum and examining thousands of rocks, Henry said only two of the offerings had ever turned out to be real meteorites. This was one of the two. If you saw a rock on Earth like this and you picked it up, it shouldn't be that heavy.
Oh,
Melbourne Museum geologist Bill Birch explained to the Sydney Morning Herald.
very good reading. Well done. Anything there you want to? Anything want to go back over again there?
Uh,
Good reading.
oh, maybe it's so. I didn't understand the last paragraph, the last quote.
Oh,
If you
let me.
saw a rock on Earth
Mm,
like this and you picked it up, it shouldn't be that heavy.
mm.
It's not easy to do this.
So
So,
we don't know that we don't know what the next paragraph is going to say, and I
uh,
think that might explain. So it's not from this that little bit alone. It's not quite clear what he's
if you
saying.
yeah,
Mm.
if you saw like see so seen.
Mm. Oh
Because
yes, yeah, exactly, yes.
I I
So
misunderstand
look,
because I think
yeah,
if you
cut it open. Yeah.
cut it, yes, yes, uh, like chainsaw, rock saw, and it's like verb.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. Actually, that was probably one of the words I was going to mention. Um, so when you're saying it, you're most Brits would say saw. You're sort of seeing the W and you're trying to make a nice sound saw, perhaps even a slight W-y sound. But really, it's most Brits are sort of softer than that. It's not quite so. We sort of ignore the W in a way. If you remember in the past, sometimes what I say is that when children in Britain are taught how to read or how to speak, they often sort of talk about, oh, when the A is next to a certain another letter, it makes this sound. And so this is another one of these situations here. When the A is next to the W in this word, it's not quite as strong. The W is sort of changed a little bit, well, quite a bit, and so it's just saw. So in other words, and you probably know this already, maybe. So this is SAW. So um, that's sour, isn't it? Though. So what other words are there? So if I say that word, saw. Oh, there we go. That's what I was thinking of. So let's just put that other word down there. So that's. Oh, my spelling is terrible. Oh, blast. I can't seem to spell. That's soul. Okay, so ignore soul for the moment. But you can see there's a certain similarity. Soul, soul. So these two words at the top here, these are both pronounced exactly the same. Saw and saw. Yeah. So let's just pop one of them or both of them in the dictionary. In drag. So S-O-R-E. Does it exist? Sore ankle, sore eyes, sore feet. So if your muscle, it's the amount of
so,
pain, isn't it? So it's about pain, isn't it? So if
so,
everybody is sore, it's pain, discomfort. So let's listen to how they
so,
say it.
saw,
Sore. Yeah, sore.
so,
So let's turn that into the other word. Saw. Saw doctor. Whatever that is. So I hit enter. Oh, nothing's happening. Let me try again. And so this is a cutting tool, it says. So let's listen to them again.
saw,
It's exactly the same, isn't it? Saw. She may have put a bit more W on it, I think, actually. Yeah, I say exactly the same. That's probably not entirely fair, but they're so close. I think you can pretty much say they're the same sound. Technically, they're not, but most people who are listening when people are talking, they can't really tell the difference. Um, but let's listen again to how she's saying saw. She probably is fairly close to how you're saying it, really, I would say. Saw,
saw,
saw. And the past tense, when something is cut in two, you might say, when something is cut in half, you might say, this has been
sawn,
sawn. Okay. So if we go back to
so,
the other one, just for
so,
comparison, and she's saying
saw,
saw, yes. You can, I think there's a little bit more of an R sound on the end, but okay. So do you fancy giving those two words a go here, down here now? I'm saying they're basically the same. Do you want to give them a go?
so, so,
Yeah.
so, so,
Okay. Let me do them again. Let me do them for you. So I'm going to say them exactly the same. Saw, saw,
so,
saw,
so, so,
saw.
so,
Um, the sound you're starting off with, I can almost hear a T and an H in there. A Tor, Tor. S Simply, I would say sausage. Just trying to think another S word. It might be different. S School, maybe. Yeah, school. School. Sk s s
so,
s s
so,
ju- just try and start off with the S, a classic S, the snake sound, the hissing sound of a snake, maybe. Saw, saw. Just try it again. So saw, saw.
so, so,
Um, you're slightly rushing the first sound. You're slightly rushing it slightly. Saw, saw. Maybe say it slightly longer, perhaps. Longer length of
so,
time. And again.
so,
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's good enough, I would say. Yeah, saw, saw. Yeah. Um, but I'm saying try to move. The AW, I think, is tricking you slightly. It's, it's much more. It's probably closer to this sort of a sound on the end. It's more like an OR kind of a sound. Or this AW is more like an or sound. You know when if you meet someone very important, so you meet a pop star or you meet a famous leader, um, S- so Keir Starmer is the British Prime Minister, or Zelensky, another prime leader of a country. If you met someone, you'd be in awe of them, awe. You'll be in great wonder. You'll be, wow, that was a really fantastic to meet that person if you met someone important. So it says awe. Although it's AW, that awe gets pronounced like this, OR. Strange, isn't it? That's how it's pronounced. And I'm sort of trying to say that's really sort of what the AW is. It's basically that sound, or some would say it's slightly different to that, but no, that's what most people say it as. So in other words, it's sort of this word here, effectively, saw. So does that make sense? So try to think of AW as being or these other words. Does that make sense? Or so
Or
saw. So over to you.
so, so,
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one. I like that last one. And keep going, keep going. So saw.
so,
Oh no, he lost
so,
it. He lost it. Oh yeah, back again. Try keep going.
so.
Yeah, that's quite good. Yeah. But that first one he said about 10 to 20 seconds ago, that was really good. It sounded spot on, saw. It's this really, this is awe business, awe. When you're in awe of somebody, it's because they're very special to you, that you love them, or they're very powerful. When you're in awe of somebody, if you might say someone is awesome, that pop star is awesome. They're so good. You love them. But that's it. I think you sort of got it there, but it is. But with the W, it is sort of off-putting. I can understand that, and I probably did that as well. Um, so let me just read that little bit again there. I was just going to read it. So if you saw a rock on Earth like this and you picked it up, it shouldn't be that heavy. It shouldn't be that heavy. Melbourne Museum geologist Bill Birch explained to the Sydney Morning Herald. Yes, and you explained it. So so it's about seeing something on the ground, picking it up,
Yeah.
and they're saying it shouldn't be that heavy. But let's see what it says below that. Um, Yeah, it's not quite clear, is it really? So do you want, maybe I'll read this one first, and then you can read it back if you want to. So my turn this time. So the researchers published a scientific paper describing the 4.6 billion year old meteorite, which they called Maryborough, after the town near where it was found. It weighs a whopping 17 kilograms, 37.5 pounds, and after using a diamond saw to cut off a small slice, the research discovered its composition had a high percentage of iron, making it an H5 ordinary chondrite. Once again, not once again, sorry, once open, you could also see the tiny crystallized droplets of metallic minerals throughout it, called chondrules. Chondrules, and that's of course is throughout. Do you want to read it through yourself? Do you want to read it through for practice?
The researchers published a scientific paper describing the 4.6 billion year old meteorite, which they called Maryborough after the town near where it was found. It weighed it weighed it weighs a whopping 17 kilograms, 37 and half 37.5 pounds. And after using a diamond saw to cut off a small slice, the researchers discovered its composition had a high percentage of iron, making it a H5 ordinary chondrite. Once open, you can also see the tiny crystallized droplets of metallic throughout it, minerals throughout the minerals throughout it, called chondrules.
Hmm.
Chondrules.
Chondrules,
Chondrules.
yes. Yeah, that's it. Spot on. It's really good reading. Very good reading. Um, Anything they
Crys-
want to go back over?
Crystallized,
Yeah.
crystallized.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you have it there. It is a bit tricky. At the bottom of the page is a bit tricky to read there, isn't it? So crystallized droplets of metallic minerals throughout it. It isn't, yeah, it isn't worded perfectly, is it? Called chondrules. Yeah, chondrules. Although I think with this particular word, it's a little unusual. So normally you would pronounce that ch, wouldn't you? Ch. But this is one of those
Yes.
words where you sort of miss out the H. Chondrules, I think that's pronounced. I understand. Chondrules. It's just a particular type of meteorite. You get meteorites which are called chondrules. Oh, this is a chondrule kind of a meteorite. And I think if it's a chondrule, it just means I think it's just a mixture of different materials, I think. But maybe I'm wrong. So the only words I noticed of interest were maybe it was the word paper. Oh, there we go. There it is there, isn't it? So paper. So I think you're sort of I sort of heard American accent to my mind. That's what I would say. That's what I heard. So if I just read those three, perhaps that whole line out maybe. So the researchers published a scientific paper. So, so you did a bit too much on the R, I would say, for a British person, but for an American, that was spot on. That was exactly the American say, I would say. So the researchers published a scientific paper. Do you want to give it one more go? So paper, basically.
Paper.
Yeah, yeah,
The,
that's it.
the,
Yeah,
the researchers published a scientific paper.
yeah, spot on. That's it. That's it. Yeah, you've got it. What else was it? So when it says whopping 17 kilograms, what do they mean? What does the whopping bit mean?
I think it's about about 17 kilograms.
Oh, so approximately 17 kilograms. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't know what whooping,
Hmm.
wobbling, that whooping. I don't know.
Maybe. When people say whopping, it's a way of emphasizing how big something is. It was a whopping 17 meters tall. So when you emphasize the bigness of something, the size of something, how heavy it is, you can put whopping in front of it. That word there, whopping. That's what it means, really. Just a word to add. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just a way of saying it's big. Strangely enough, so that's pronounced whopping with a WH and then an O, but there's a place in London called Wapping, and it's spelled this way over here. That's a place that's got the same different letters, you might say, but it's a place called Wapping. Let's just quickly search it. Back to the gold rush again. Yes, Wapping Town, Wapping Wharf. So this is a place in London. It's a nice bits of it are very, very nice. So Wapping is an area in the borough of Tower Hamlets in London. This is an underground tunnel. London, England. It is in East London and it is part of the East End. Wapping is on the north bank of the Thames. I guess it is, isn't it? Actually missing. So there's some lovely areas there. There we go. Wapping. The British Museum. I don't think the British Museum is anywhere near Wapping. I don't think, is it? Perhaps it is. I don't think it is, but never mind. I don't know anything about London. Composition. Maybe those two words there, thinking about it. So if I read that last from that comma down to the end, if I read that again to you, notice how I say percentage of iron, that bit there. So I'll read it first of all, then it's your go. That's okay. So the researchers discovered its composition had a high percentage of iron, making it I don't want to say an H5, a H5 ordinary chondrite. So do you want to try again? So you'll go.
The researchers discovered its composition had a high percentage of iron, making it H5 ordinary chondrite
Yeah, that's good like that. Yes.
iron.
S- Yeah, yeah, and also percentage. But I think when you said
Yeah.
iron, the R came out. For most Brits, the R is silent, and it's just iron, iron, iron. There are some Brits, very occasionally you just slightly hear the R sound, but it's very subtle. Um, if you go to Scotland, some people in the Highlands of Scotland, so not the bit, well, the Highlands up in the mountains of Scotland, they will tend to say the R a bit more. But even then, you'll find some Scotch won't say the R. So yeah, but that's good. So and percentage, I can't remember how you said the percentage now, but it was good enough, but just need a little bit of tidying up, I suppose. But you had it perfect. You when you said it this time, you're absolutely perfect there. Um, with the A, I'd have wanted that to be an H5 and because with the H, you start off with an sort of an A H. H starts off with an
Yeah.
kind of a sound, which is a vowel, I would say, isn't it? So you really want that to be an N, A-N, I would say. But it's not perfect, is it? Nothing's perfect. So yeah. So I'm just trying to go down. There we go. Oh, this must be under a microscope or something here. So the little description there says radial pyroxene chondrule formed in Maryborough meteorite, Birch et al., and then the date. So this is under a microscope, I guess. I can see lots of complicated words. Do you want me to read it first? Not that complicated. Or do you want to go first? And maybe this will be the last one, perhaps.
Okay. Meteorites provide the cheapest form of space exploration. They transport us back in time, providing clues to the age, formation, and chemistry of our solar system, including Earth, said Henry. Some provide a glimpse at the deep interior of our planet. In some meteorites, there is stardust, even older than our solar system, which shows us how stars form and evolve to create elements of the periodic table. Other rare meteor, other rare meteorites contain organic molecules such as amino acids, the building blocks of life. Although the researchers don't yet know where the meteorite came from and how long it may have been on Earth, they do have some guesses.
Mm, good reading once again, as always. Very good. Not much for me to say. At the beginning somewhere there was I think maybe when you're reading it, thinking about it, so maybe that very first line again. So when you said meteorites, so meat, I think we say meat, E, and make an E sound. So meat, E, and all rights. Meteorites, meteorites. I think you missed out slightly. I think you missed out the M at the beginning, really, a little bit. Meteorites. What else was it? There's something else at the beginning. What was it now? Oh, it was the word glimpse, wasn't it? There we go. So the word glimpse didn't sound quite right, but it might be my hearing. So do you want to in fact do that first sentence again there, which I've highlighted? So some provide a glimpse. You'll go that one there.
Some provide a glimpse at the deep interior of our planet.
That's it. That's really good. Yes. Oh, yeah, great. Some provide a glimpse at the deep interior of our planet. That's that. Maybe the next paragraph then. I'll read the next rest of the paragraph, perhaps. I'll read it to you. So, in some meteorites, there is stardust even older than our solar system, which shows us how stars form and evolve to create elements of the periodic table. So when I read that out there, um, when I said when I got to even older, I sort of raised my tone a little bit. I said, I'll read it a little bit again, just so you can hear it again. I'll try to read it again. So my voice goes up when I got to even older. So in some meteorites, there is stardust even older than our solar system. So can you see what I did there? I gave emphasis to those two words, and really they are some of they are the I would say they're the most important words in that sentence. They're the ones where all the meaning is. That's the one where you can give the emphasis to and raise your voice or do something different at that point there. Or possibly even the word stardust, because that's unexpected. So we're talking about, a big blob of iron or something. And they're saying there's stardust in it. So that's a little bit surprising. So anything that's surprising or you think may be surprising, you can give a bit of emphasis to it. You can actually, by giving emphasis to it, you can actually change the meaning of the sentence. You can make it mean slightly different to what the original author meant it to have, or you can give extra oomph to that sentence. Maybe the word molecules, I think, when you got to it, I didn't sound quite right, I think. So if I read it first, do you want to read it again? Do you want to read it first? You read it this time, I should say, then I'll maybe read it after you. Do you want to read it again, please?
Other rare meteorites contain organic molecules such as amino acids,
Yeah,
the building blocks of life.
yeah, that's pretty good, I'd say. So maybe rare as a word, rare.
Rare,
So not
rare,
common, not too many of them around, only a few of them around, perhaps. And so there's those two words. So organic molecules, molecules. Do you want to say that again?
or, organic, organic,
You could do either actually. Organic, yeah, organic. I would say.
organic molecules,
Yeah,
molecules,
yeah. So we did want to come to a few
molecules,
times. You've pretty much got it. I would say you get into 90% pretty much. So molecules, molecules.
molecules,
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Spot on. So
molecules.
that's it. You've got it now. That's spot on. So, what's the definition of a molecule, would you say? How would you define it?
Mm, it's not the
Hmm.
tiniest uh,
Right. Yeah.
atom and atoms. It's
Okay. So it's not an atom, but it's near
yes,
that, I guess is what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
all materials. All materials
Yeah.
contain molecules. We are building from molecules.
Yeah.
For example, molecules. Water is two molecules of hydrogen and one molecules of oxygen. H2O. H2. Yeah, it's
Yes. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff there. So let me just repeat some of that back to you. So the words molecule, molecule. Let's hear them say it. So when you do one word on its own and not in a sentence, it does sound slightly different. We do pronounce it slightly differently. And as I said before, when you put words around it, we tend to say it slightly differently. When it's in a proper sentence, we pronounce it differently. So let's listen to how they say it anyway.
molecule,
Yes, molecule. And the plural is quite simply molecules.
molecules,
There we go. Let me read this then. So, a molecule is the smallest amount of a chemical substance which can exist by itself. So, the hydrogen bonds between water molecules. And you gave the example of water, and you said, so a molecule of water contains two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom.
Yeah.
But
Water.
I think you said it
Yeah.
contains one oxygen molecule. I think you said. So technically, yeah. So I think that I know what you're getting at. I know what you're getting at. So do you want to read this little bit back here if you can see it? So a molecule. Do you want to read that back there for me?
A molecule is the smallest amount of a chemical substance which can exist by itself.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's good. That's really good. Um, so some of the times you were saying molecule, I think you were going into your way of saying it. So, but the British, it's sim. That's the problem with these words. Some are so similar, I guess, to your way. It makes it quite tricky. Yeah. So molecule.
Molecule.
So molecule.
Molecule.
And of course, in chemistry, you can talk about moles, can't you? So not molds on your skin, but when you talk about a certain volume of a substance, you talk about a mole of this or a mole of that in chemistry, don't you? I think. Um, Anything else that you want to ask? Go back again with, or I can't think of anything else. So just stardust, I think, wasn't it? And even older. Yeah.
R. R. It's
Ah,
quite
yes.
compute. R and solar.
Yeah, yeah.
Older.
So, yeah. It is tricky. It is tricky.
For East. East.
Yeah.
Europe. It's R. So
Yeah. So,
our
so with the word solar system,
solar.
so this is one of those situations where with the AR on the end is just really making that schwa sound, the schwa sound. So just a sort of a sound, sort of. So solar, solar. Uh. So it's not. It's if again, if an American to say this, he would try to pronounce the R, and he almost certainly would. So it'd be solar system. I can't quite do it. I can't quite give it justice. But Brits don't say it that way. We just say solar. It's almost as if it ends just with an A. You almost ignore the R. Solar, ah. We don't quite say ah. We say solar, solar, solar system. But when it comes to this word here, if it's sort of this. It's with a very short word. It's very easy just to make it sound like almost like an again the whole word just like uh. Um, if I was, especially if I was reading it out rather quickly, that would probably turn to oh, well, probably not quite that, but so let me just read that sentence there, and I'll try to read it out quickly. So I won't quite say hour, and I think you probably said a little bit like hour, because that's probably how you probably technically should say it on its own, the word on its own, hour. I'll probably say something like hour, R. I'll probably just say R actually, R, as if it was the letter R. Does that make sense? R of our planet. Okay, so let me read it then. So I'll read it reasonably quickly, but not slowly. So some provide a glimpse at the deep interior of our planet. Some provide a deep some provide a glimpse at the deep interior of our planet. So I'm having to read that out because I'm reading it quickly. When I read it out quickly, it turns into the sound R, just like it was a letter R, a long R. But if I was reading it out slowly, I would say of our planet, of our planet. But most of the time we don't read out slowly or speak slowly. The only times we read slowly, I would say, is if I was a news reader and I was reading out the news and people were listening to me on television or the radio. So most of the time, I would suggest people say that as R, R. Tricky. Does that does that help? Does
R.
that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Of
in
R.
everyday
R.
speech, we're talking moderately quickly. It would just be R. R.
Ah,
But if you're reading out slowly, you would have to say hour. Hour. So which is the same sound, of course, as the clock hour. So these two, of course, are exactly the same. But we'd never say the clock hour as a long R sound. Oh, we would never say that. But only the upper one would probably say as a long R sound when we're talking quickly. Or just moderate normal conversational speed, probably. So do you want to just say, practice those words again? So solar system. Do you want to do that word again? So
solar,
solar.
solar system,
Yeah,
solar system.
solar. Solar. Yeah, that's pretty good. Solar system. That's it. And maybe interior of our planet. Do you want to just say that little bit there? Interior of our
In
planet.
interior of our planet.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really good. That's it. You've really got that. Yes. So that was said quite reasonably quickly, and that's exactly how you should say it. You say just like a long R sound. That's it. Like a big letter R on its own almost. Strange, isn't it? But that was good. Well done. Anything else? Anything else there, or maybe?
No, no, I have an idea. Uh,
Mm.
How do you
Oh yeah.
think in future
Hmm.
is the English language simplified?
I
Will,
know.
will
Yeah.
simplify and
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
oh you
Yeah.
are it's like you show me will some sounds or some
Yeah.
simplifying words without schwa sound or without any combination.
Yeah.
Because many years ago,
Mm.
you told me about you read a book, uh,
Mm.
very hard, which was written uh,
Hmm.
well, many times ago, and the language
Yeah.
was
Mm.
uh, more harder than
True. Yeah.
now. So maybe in future,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. This terrible thing is that the the written language changes at a slower speed to how we say the words. So the way we say a word is almost constantly changing, especially in different places, different regions. In Scotland, they say it differently to Britain, or in Wales, perhaps sometimes. Even Ireland, they say it slightly differently, perhaps. Um, but the spelling normally stays the same. That's the naughty thing about it. But so with the Americans, when they say it, they're much more honest. They look at a word and they sort of try to pronounce every sort of syllable there, and I think they're more consistent. In some ways, the American pronunciation is better, I would say. There's often more consistency there. And in fact, when America had their sort of their independence revolution, or American independence, there was a guy who started that dictionary. What's his name again? Mary, I can't remember.
Webster, Merriam-Webster.
Yeah, that's right. You know more about it than I do. And I think he was the guy who actually wanted to start off with a new language. He wanted to change English into a completely new language, I think, and spell it the way it sounds. I think he wanted to spell, so there's the word night, isn't there? So at night time, it goes dark, doesn't it? So he had this word here. I think he wanted to spell it Nite, night. I think he wanted to spell it that way. And other words too. Maybe they do in America, I don't know. So this one down here, that must be that looks exactly like night, doesn't it? Whereas this one up here doesn't look like night, does it? Night. What? How's that night? Oh dear. Of course, you put a K in front of it. Of course, the N goes
Yeah,
small, I
yeah.
guess you would say. It's still night, but it means something completely different, doesn't it? Oh no. Oh dear. It is tricky, and I think you've done incredibly well. I'm always amazed. You've done so well, I think. Well, I found this subject really interesting, and I'll probably try to read the rest of the sub. We've read over half of it, I think, haven't we? So I wonder how much it was worth. They were saying so. They're saying it's quite rare. So the researchers argue that the Maryborough meteorite is much rarer than gold, making it far more valuable to science. So it's more
Hmm.
valuable, but how much would they pay for it?
No, no, more valuable for science, to science,
Yeah.
not for men who found it.
But if it's so valuable,
And
maybe they should be paying for it. I wonder if they talk about a value. So I would be interested in the value. Oh, there's no sort of value there, is there? I agree with you. I think it's almost invaluable. When you say something's invaluable, you almost can't put a value on it. So that's sort of invaluable then. So a great piece of art is almost invaluable, you might say. You'd probably say priceless, actually. So there's priceless and invaluable. Let's just quick look that up. So there's two ideas there. Look up priceless. We say something's priceless. So it says priceless artifact, priceless collection. So here we go. So if you say that something is priceless, you are emphasizing that it is worth a very large amount of money. So this is another adjective too. They say if you say that something is priceless, you approve of it because it is extremely useful. Coffee is priceless to me. You might say something like that. But you might also say something is priceless if you cannot put a value to it because it's almost beyond value. This is so valuable. It's like life is priceless because you can't value it. Life is priceless. So it's higher than price. It's beyond it. It's higher than price. So what was the other one? Priceless, and I can't think what the other word was now. Well, that's priceless anyway. So you might possibly say the Maryborough meteorite was priceless. There we go. So let's stop the recording at that point then. How do I do that? I always have this problem. How do I stop the recording? Let's go back to the photo while we're doing it, while I'm trying to do it. Here we are. So